So after my first Bark River video, I had a couple of fanboys getting all pissy and bitching and moaning in the comments and everything and talking about how great Bark River is. So look at that. I actually got my hands on one. I'm gonna use this oversized kitchen knife. I'm gonna go outside and beat on it. And no, I'm not talking about the Wusthof. This is my buddy Rockin' Knives knife, and yeah, you're gonna see what happens to the supposed greatness of Bark River. So I'm just showing it here in the sheath, but we'll talk more about the sheath later. So my buddy Rockin' Knives already ran this through what we call the gauntlet. It's a series of tests. Go watch his video first if you haven't already seen it. It'll give you more context as to what happened. But yes, the knife already received damage doing his test, and I'm just gonna use this ceramic rod here to try to minimize some of the damage before I even start doing stuff, just because, I mean, it's already damaged, but I don't want it to get any worse. Spoiler, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, watch the video. Minimized them at least. So after a couple of minutes, say a couple of minutes? 1 minute. On a stone, obvious, or a ceramic rod, the damage isn't out, but it's been minimized. The snags on each side of the blade are much more minimized. So let's see.
So now it's just straight up chips.
But it's way sharper than it was out of the box. And it's at least semi-testable. So some decent thin pieces here, but kind of fell out of the cut most of the time. Cherry tomatoes. It works okay, but food definitely sticks to the blade quite a bit. For comparison, BK7, much easier. It's so much easier. It's not even funny. Yeah, it definitely does like to sink in there. It just
too deep, right?
Yeah, chest lever. I mean, it can definitely take big chunks, but it's like when you're trying to be more controlled, it just sinks way too far in there. All right, let's try to get some feather sticks here. Yeah, it just wants to immediately sink into the wood.
Goes too deep, huh?
Yeah. again, for comparison, so much more control. Way more control. Just going to do some stabs here. Check out this handle. I suspect it will be slippery. What'll be funny is when I miss. Yeah, that one hurt a little bit. A little bit of slippage. And I did run into this unprotected or unshielded part here. So I'm going to do some strikes into the grain here. I'm going to 3-finger it. This will also be painful because they elected to keep this a really sharp area right here. So when I 3-finger it, it'll be not so fun, but it is immediately just biting right in. So it's got that going for it. It's actually sinking in pretty good. Ow.
Reverberation or what?
It was just the heel hit me in the palm. Yeah, I feel it slipped just a little bit. Again, for comparison, we're going to 3-finger the BK7. Wow. I am kind of going into the same holes, but
Flip it over.
yeah, I'll do that. Wow. Now there is a huge freaking knot right here, which is why I started on the other side.
Buy a different piece.
No, I'll use this one. Still BK7. Yeah, that one's like hitting a freaking brick wall. But comes right out of there. Before I get too carried away, let's use the Bark River again. 3-finger. Get out. It definitely has more kinetic energy as it comes in. I think that's just because it weighs more, but it's not nearly as comfortable. And it gets really stuck. I'll give it one more and then we'll move on to batoning. Ow. So, handle, not impressive. I don't know if that's coming through on camera because I can't see, but a little bit of redness, nothing to worry about. All right, now we're going to be batoning. This is the same piece that I did all those downward strikes on. I will go this way because the knot is traveling here, so I'm going to go to the side of it and not try to go through it. Check that out. Ow. Slivers. Rockin' Knives wants me to do this piece.
Okay. Here we go. I already don't like that. Flip it. Not my knife. Yeah, we hit the brakes on that knot. More damage.
Yes, more.
Yep. Right here it waved out. So I'll just break these down into smaller pieces. No more bigger batoning stuff because we've already had that issue. So that went all right, but is it any better? Okay, 7. Look at that, I got a twofer. I can't say that the Bark River is any better with its supposed mythical convex grind. You know, it's like people talk about it, but it's like it kind of sucks for carving if you're trying to do more precise stuff.
It's worse for food.
Worse for food. Wasn't any better through this stuff. And at least in the batoning, similar, if not maybe better. I don't know. All right, we'll do some cross grain chopping on this seasoned fence post here. Ouch. Thought I heard something shift in the handle. Could be me. Well, it seems to do pretty decent at that stuff. Since I've basically been comparing it this whole time to the BK7, I'll give that a run. yeah, the BK7 does not have the mass the Bark River does, so it is not nearly as efficient at this. One final thing before I head inside is that people always want to make fun of these black coated blades and be like, do you think you're Mr. Operator going to sneak up on some of the Let me tell you, when it gets over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the fucking desert with no clouds in the sky, having this shit reflect and hit you right in the eyeball as you're trying to work with it is really annoying and could potentially be dangerous. So black coated blades serve a purpose.
So there you go, $440 MSRP, $330 out the door. I would not ever pay that in a million years. And I know I don't have a video record of me stating this before the whole controversy and everything, but you can go ask Rocket Knives long before this controversy ever happened. I had always hated Bark River knives. I've never seen why they're so expensive. I've never understood the hype. I've always thought that they were overhyped, overpriced.
For something that has the reputation that Bark River had before they destroyed it. And with the whole convex grind being so superior, I am not sold. All right, so just to kind of finish off some closing thoughts here. Both Rockin' Knives and myself were quite shocked that this knife took this amount of damage. And especially watching the footage back from my stuff, I haven't seen his video footage yet. This was from me. I really wasn't going into the knot that hard. I stopped as soon as the knife stopped and I felt resistance. I pulled out because I wasn't super comfortable with it, and it still did damage. And up here, I believe this is new, so this didn't occur in his test that he did prior to me. So somewhere along the line, that also happened from my usage. This was all from Rocket Knife stuff, and all this is mostly waves and rolls. Now, again, I did not baton the BK7, and I fully acknowledge that I didn't do that. However, as you can see, I've done that many times with the BK7 before, and this thing is perfect. It's exactly how it was. I just cleaned it up. Oops. I cleaned it up just like we cleaned up this thing, but I've never stropped it since. I haven't done anything. That's not rust. This is just the oils or whatever they put into the railroad tie that you see on the edge there, but no rolls, no chips, no nicks. So to the guy who was saying that, oh, I would take a Bark River over all the knives in my first Bark River video that I did, you can do that. I mean, sure, go for it. But as I stated then, and I'll state now, Bark River knives have been wholly overrated, in my opinion. And I've never understood the Bark River thing. I mean, this is just way too sharp of an angle here. Super uncomfortable. Same thing up here. They didn't enclose this part, so as you're using it, that sharp angle here on the steel can just start rubbing away, creating a blister. They used a cool handle material with the micarta, but they polished it, so they made it not cool. And so, at least for me and my hand size, this is a little bit too small, and so there's a lot of ability for it to twist and move around in my hand, and eventually that's just going to create a blister. Same idea with how people like to take the clear lacquer off of an axe handle and expose the wood grain, because the lacquer and how smooth it is as it rubs on your hand will create blisters. Same deal here. This is a sharp corner. I mean, we're not even going to talk about the edge damage. The sheath is what the. All right, now, granted, this is better than most of the Bark River sheath, but still, like, what the fuck? And it has a whole bunch of straps. I guess they're for scout carry. I don't know where Rockin' Knives put those, but this is better for them. But still, it's not formed to the knife. Look how big and bulky this is. It's straight up twisted in all sorts of different directions. Which it's leather, you can get that working out. But I just want to show you something. This is the very first leather sheath I ever made for my mother's Spyderco Santoku. Yes, I tooled the Spyderco logo in it. First leather sheath I ever made for her knife. If this is the stuff that I can do my first time doing it, and this is some super awesome production knife, and ooh, it's so good, it's like, how are they not better than my dumbass? All right, so I know many of you probably don't care about the sheath and you don't care about me rambling on about it, but I care, so I'm going to point it out because, as I just discussed, I have made sheaths out of not only leather, but also Kydex. I know what it's like to make these things. Granted, I'll never claim to be some sort of leather artisan or whatever, but people think that these things are nice, and I can see how someone would think that this is a nice sheath, but as someone who's done this, I can tell where they cut corners, and it's just lazy. Obviously, it's made with a sewing machine. It wasn't hand-stitched. I mean, I can't necessarily fault them for that, but obviously they have a groover. They made a groove here, but they didn't groove the backside. The stitching is standing proud. That's going to get worn away from abrasion, and your sheath can start to fail. These the stitches are going to start coming up. Also, look at how, by them putting these eyelets in here, first of all, that's kind of ugly, but it's also created this wavy pattern, and the sheath's all twisted. Granted, over time that should fix itself, and you can also form it. There's no edge coat here. They slicked it. They didn't slick it very good. Some of these edges are sharp and not chamfered, so that's going to start catching and peeling it apart. They didn't put any eyelets or rivets up here at the corner where the biggest stress point is. They didn't chamfer the corner here on the inside of any of these. So they did cut with their I'm having a brain fart, but they did cut the corners here, so it's not sharp, but not on the inside. The inside's still a sharp 90-degree corner. None of the inside here is slicked. This is all just rough, untreated leather. And I mean, they're using good thick leather. This is probably like a 8-9 ounce, possibly a 10 ounce, but that's good. They didn't skive the belt loop down super good, so it creates a real big bulk point here. But anyway, again, as someone who has done this, sharp corner there. As someone who has done this, I can see where they cut corners. They didn't even mold the sheath. Now, granted, I think they're going for a symmetrical design, so you can put the knife in either way, but I don't know. This just screams lazy to me. There's no reason, particularly for the stitching, to stand proud. They should have their groover coming around here so that the threads stick down into the groove there so that they're protected. Case in point, this is my second holster I've ever made, MMP 9, and you need to make sure that you create a groove here so that the threads go down in it and they're protected so that they're not going to stand proud and get worn away by stuff that can, rub up against it over time. That will create a failure point. On the inside, slicked it, so it's not going to be hard on the finish of the firearm or anything else that could be rubbing against the inside, because that's where it's going to be really rough. Rounded all of the edges as you contact stuff, so nothing is sharp. Coated the edges, protected the edges so that no moisture gets in. And again, this second holster I've ever made. Some dumbass in his house doing this as a hobby. I lost money on this. I didn't make any money for it. They made money with this somehow. So this is what I'm talking about, is that you can be fooled if you don't know, but once you know, stuff like this is glaringly obvious. So in conclusion, also I made that VK7 sheath, but that's Kydex. In conclusion, I don't know what's going on with Bark River. Obviously, we know that they lied and went out of business and scammed a bunch of people, all that. We all know that. But in terms of, I think this is the Aurora 3 or something like that. It doesn't say it on the blade. I'll confirm with Rocket Knives when he gets back. But this isn't even an affected model in an affected steel. This is supposedly 3V. And dude, we've done a lot worse with 1095, which sucks, and the Gerber Strong Arm, which is 420 HC, and that thing is a fucking tank. Really? Bark River is so great, build quality is amazing, right? That's what everyone keeps saying, even trying to defend them now.